Amanda.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, I think I want to be an actor.
Oh, that's really going to hurt your assassin's career.
No one's supposed to know about that, but it's true.
Just like our friend Bill Hader on Barry?
Absolutely like Bill Hader on Barry. In fact, that's what we're going to talk about today.
And can we talk about?
I can't work for you anymore, all right? You got to find someone else.
Well, do you know any other assassins?
No.
Well, what do you want me to do? Go to John Wick Assassin Hotel with help wanted sign? I mean, what?
You got good guys right here, man.
Oh my God, my guys suck balls. You know it. Especially this motherfucker right here.
If I suck balls, you are king of suck balls mountain.
Shut the fuck up.
Ah!
What if I train your guys?
They already have physical trainer. They have like 3.
Not at a gym. I'm talking about, I'm a Marine, all right? I could teach him how to shoot, combat skills. I don't have to kill anymore. Get paid.
You could get in the army. You could turn these pumpkins into Cinderellas overnight, huh? You could take over Burmese Mafia. Go back to 50-50 with Cristobal.
Or you can just take the whole thing for yourself.
50-50 with Cristobal. Like the sound of that.
Can we talk about Barry?
Yes, we need to talk about Barry. This was a show I was late to the game for, and you convinced me to watch it, and I watched it so freaking fast.
I know. Well, it's funny because I feel like the 2 HBO shows that were chasing each other to the finish line was this and Succession, which ended on the same night. And you marathoned both shows.
Both of them. I just wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
I really did.
What did you think of Barry? When did you start it? And you finished it around the finale, but when did you start it?
We started it same time as Succession.
Oh, okay.
We watched more of Barry together.
Yeah.
So we were really into it. But you know what? To kind of parrot what you were saying when we were playing Good Cop, Bad Cop to the Ted Lasso episode.
Yeah.
It was so digestible. Where Ted Lasso's final season, very supposed to be very happy and blah, 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 took us a long time to get through. But Barry was just like, even though it was so fucking dark, it was just, I love the way that this show ended, and we'll get there. But I could watch 100 more seasons of this show. Give me every spinoff, everything. Yeah. I want everything.
Speaking of that, by the way, and again, I'll dive right into the deep end with some fun facts. There's the pseudo sort of theme song to the show. Yeah. Which is Change for the World by Charles Bradley. That appearing over the title card Barry in all the other seasons, except for season 4. When it got dark, they just said, screw it. And they pulled it. They weren't.
Real. I don't even know why I didn't notice that. Maybe I did notice that, but didn't realize what a big deal it was. Yeah. Now, yes, obviously. Yeah. But Bill Hader has been a real open book when it comes to talking about the show and the way he developed it. Him working with Alec Berg, who by the way, and it's really funny because Alec Berg is a guy who has worked on a lot of TV shows in the past. He wrote for Conan O'Brien. He produced Seinfeld back in the 90s. There is a style to the way that this guy produces the signature HBO feel that he's just really good at. He did Silicon Valley, which was another show that I highly recommend. Did you ever watch that show? Sure freaking did from day one. Yeah. I loved that show. Love Silicon Valley. But there was a certain HBO style of hooking you at the end of the episode where you're like, oh, I have to watch the next show. I have to watch the next episode. That he brought to this too, which I really thought was great. But I feel like I'm all over the place in the beginning. But I will say, Bill Hader has given so much insight into this on other podcasts and interviews of how he wrote this show and came up with stuff. And there was one thing that stuck out to me that I only heard recently where the tone of the show, that balancing of that dark humor, or not even dark, the balancing the humor with that darkness. I'll put it that way. That's a better way of saying it. Yeah, that's much better. There was something they did where they were doing something really dark. And then the next scene that would come would be something funny. They're like, oh, we can't do that. That's too jarring. And then they did it and it worked. They're like, oh, wow, that worked. Okay. I guess that could be the tone of the show. They almost fell into it about doing something really dark. That's amazing. I would never have guessed that. It felt so calculated in a good way. Not like we talked about, again, in our previous episode. I will say this, bold statement, because we all know how much I was loving my Ted Lasso journey. Yeah. Zero pandering. in the show.
Absolutely.
Zero. Not an instance that I think you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to go there.
Yeah.
It was so, like you've previously said, it was so tight. Every episode, every season, how can you take a person like Hank and make him as fucking ridiculous in the very best way?
Yeah.
And I mean, everything he does is hilarious. It doesn't matter what he's doing. Like putting on wigs and coming to Lululemon looking like a fucking Ken doll and saying, I'm going to kill you.
Hank.
And you're truly scared of that person who looks so ridiculous. They did it so perfectly. It was like, I saw somebody in an article, I think it was a Mental Floss article, said like it was the most beautiful dance between a very dark show, ridiculous things, and comedy. Like it never crossed the line too far into one direction.
Yeah.
It was a perfect balance.
Yeah.
And I know that you loved everything about it. So
you know what it was? And this is where I have a real appreciation. And I don't view myself as some like ultra nerdy film buff, Criterion Collection kind of like that's not me. I have respect for film. I have respect for creators who respect it. And Bill Hader is the kind of guy who very much respects the medium and very much respects everything about it. And that's, to me, it comes out through this show a lot. Like you can see all the cinematography that went into this show. For those that don't know, Bill Hader got into directing through this show. And I believe the final season, he directed every episode.
And it's like Quentin Tarantino, the final episode. It felt like a Tarantino movie.
Oh, it was great. But like to the point of the writing, like you were saying, right? Which is NoHo Hank, which by the way is like,
oh my God,
I just cut right there. Yeah. Greatest character. Loved him.
It was incredible.
First off, Anthony Carrigan, who plays NoHo Hank, is amazing at what he does. But that tied with the amazing writing. Yeah. He is both like the funniest character, but also you have feelings for him, like you like his relationships and the emotions he draws out. He is the most gut-wrenching character, like emotionally, because you're both rooting for him, but he's also like one of the worst human people there. And that's like a vibe for the show in general of like,
agreed.
Barry Berkman, Bill Hader's character, is the guy that you're sort of rooting for. And then Bill Hader's come out before too. And he's like, I have to remind people, like, he's a bad guy. Like he murders people.
Not to me. Yeah. He sends emojis. His emoji text messages are like some of my favorite moments.
Yeah. They did mention about like balancing the comedy and like the absurdity within this world. I mean, there's an episode where he's trying to get a bomb to work and he's on,
customer support
for the bomb app.
So good.
The bomb detonation app. And so there's like that mixed with, it's all over the place, but in a good way. Oh my God,
the scene where he's got semi-automatic rifles strapped to his sides, walking through like a toy aisle. It's like you just, I mean, is it ridiculous and insane? Yeah. You're watching it, you're like, oh my God, that would never happen. It happens.
Yeah.
This is the world we live in today. And it's like you said, both ridiculous and like, oh no, that's this. And it works. Yeah. It's believable and it works.
Yeah. To me, that's the big standout is every single scene. And it's kind of funny because when we talked about Ted Lasso, I did a lot of contrasting between this and Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I think Ted Lasso, it's a story, right? Like I think they were trying to tell a story of people and characters and go very broad, right? And develop almost a universe around these people. This is like, to steal from a phrase plus a YouTube channel is like every frame is a painting. There is so much that goes into this.
It's really good. Yeah.
And I think there's the season 2 episode, Ronnie Lilly, which to back up a second. So Bill Hader directed the first 3 episodes of the first season.
Okay.
And then we go into season 2. And then the first episode he directs is Ronnie Lilly, which is not a bottle episode necessarily, but maybe it kind of is, but it's this own little island of an episode. Do you remember that episode
I'm trying to think. No.
So this is the episode where Barry tries to kill Ronnie, who's the Taekwondo master.
Oh my God. Yes. Okay. Absolutely. Okay.
The episode that feels like a fever dream.
That one felt like Napoleon Dynamite 2.0. Yes.
Yes.
Rex
it has that. Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much chaos and anxiety, and like the girl who plays Lily, which is like the little girl, Ronnie's daughter, is like, I forget the word they used, but she's like animalistic. You know, she's like literally jumping on the roofs of houses, and it's just a great. I mean, that alone, if you just threw someone into the deep end and said, hey, just watch this one episode of this random show, just going in, the cinematography behind it, the absurdity, the like elevation of like the scenario getting worse and worse and worse and all of it. I mean, it's just great. I mean, the fact that they're trying to like stitch up his wounds with super glue at one point.
You know what I thought about that episode is like, I'd be an awful assassin. I already know that. I would apologize. I would be the worst assassin, but all of that ridiculous, like panic nature is like, that's real life. If we all tried to be assassins, like it would be a wreck. It would be a disaster.
Yeah. But first, we got to back up because we went way into the deep end.
I know it's so hard not to, though.
I just want to go over the main cast because it's great. And then, I mean, I feel like at this point, we don't need to explain what the show is. We just need to explain that it was created by Bill Hader. I've actually read the pilot script for this, which just very little had changed from the initial script into the pilot. But you have Bill Hader, who plays Barry Berkman, who is as it's described, a depressed former private first class from the Marines. He served in Afghanistan. And then and I forgot this because this is like sort of disappeared for a while, but like his name is Barry Berkman. And then he takes the stage name Barry Block.
Oh, Barry Block. Yeah. I forgot he makes the Facebook page under Barry Block. Yeah.
Then you have his handler, the guy who sort of worked behind the scenes for him for all his like hitman jobs, which is Fuchs, which is played by Stephen Root, who I love so much. Stephen Root's entire career. I saw someone ask a question. Someone asked a question to Bill Hader in an interview, one of those like press junket things, because apparently, I guess famously, Bill Hader hates press junkets and like
I don't blame them.
Interviews.
They look awful.
And it is funny because you think about it, and especially as we talk about this, about how much effort he puts into this. And when it comes to filmmaking, he has a respect for the art, and he's good at what he does. And then people get up and they ask him like, so what made you choose Stephen Root? He doesn't have a lot of comedy. And they basically tried to say like Stephen Root hadn't done comedy. And he's like what, like Office Space and King of the Hill and like News Radio, like most of his career.
I was going to say, you mean like the most popular comedies? Yeah, he's never done them. You're right.
They just threw it out there like, oh, he hasn't really done a lot of comedy, has he? It's like, that's probably what he's most well known for, is doing comedy. But okay, that's fine. So anyway, yeah, you have Stephen Root, who is great. Sarah Goldberg, who plays Sally Reed, who is, and this is what I think is most interesting about her character. She's somehow a good actress who has to figure out how to play a bad actress. Like, she's just an average actress in the show.
It's so strange. Yeah. And I hated her in the first season. I was like, oh my God, I hope he has to kill this bitch. She is fucking annoying. And then, I mean, we'll get there, but like by the end of the show, I'm like, what a fucking queen. Yeah.
You definitely turn. Although there's little things at the end of the show that I picked up on. She still
sucks, but yeah.
Yeah. Then you have NoHo Hank, who was supposed to not be a regular character. He was just, supposed to be what he was. And then
was he always written that way? Or did they cast it and then, I mean, it just came to life on the pages, and when he put it into, I mean, he's perfect for it.
It was the accent he did, which gave it a whole different life.
It's just,
and it's funny because I've seen, people who apparently don't understand the show be like, it's not even a good Chechen accent. It's like, it's not supposed to be a good Chechen. It doesn't matter.
Like a Bill Hader SNL character in a good way. I'm not trying to say that like in a bad way, but like he feels like an insanely popular SNL character. Just the way he's played it. It's perfection.
Yeah. But apparently that was the thing. He was supposed to be dead. He was supposed to be killed off. And then they just liked him so much that they were just like, okay, he got injured instead. And then that was it. And then you have Gene Cousineau, Mr. Henry Winkler.
Oh, come on.
Is
give it fantastic. Up for Hank the Tank.
I was so excited to see Henry Winkler get this much positive attention, because I feel like a lot of the stuff he's done in his career in general, everything's been hokey. And the thing is, he's a hokey guy, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No.
Like,
yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
He's like a walking dad joke. He just is. It's
really funny. I'm going to ruin it, but there's a really funny line. Bill Hader's done a few different podcasts. He did Conan's podcast, and he did like the other podcast with Fly on the Wall. And he's told this story a few times, and to me, it's hilarious, where he was just describing what Henry Winkler is like. And they're like, yeah, so Henry, so in this scene, you're going to there's going to be a murder and you're going to be devastated. And he's like, but I brought a bundt cake for the crew. Can I give the bundt cake to the crew? Like, he's like, so he just wants to like make everyone happy, and he just wants to be nice to everybody.
Him. He's the golden retriever.
Yeah. And the thing is, for what it's worth, and I can say this from my career in radio, because he used to hang around and befriend all the radio shows that I worked with. He is an actual like sweetheart of a human being. Like, just Henry Winkler is great.
You just feel it.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God that matches what I wanted it to match.
And for what it's worth, I also was reading recently stories about Bill Hader in the same light, which is, I think you know this, is Bill Hader used to be a PA. Like, he was a production assistant. He worked on Dateline. He was an editor's assistant at one point. I believe his whole story about being discovered in general and making his way on SNL is like a crazy story in general. Yeah,
he told it was either Armchair Expert, the Dax Shepard podcast, or Smartless. One of the two, he told that story, and it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Just discovered because he was doing improv with Nick Offerman's brother. And Megan Mullally went to go see a show and was like, oh, that guy right there. And then called Lauren Michaels. And
Lauren Michaels was like, you need him. You got to have him.
She called it. She should be a producer. Megan Mullally should take over for Lauren Michaels when he leaves.
I fucking love her. Talk about a couple I'd be smack dab in the middle of. Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally. Sign me up. Right in the middle. Just there I am.
What's funny is I can easily tell that that's not a random thought. You've put a lot of effort into thinking about. Yeah.
God, yes. If you can't really see my bookshelf right now, but there's one shelf on here that's just all Nick Offerman books. My fiance loves, we both do, but he truly loves Nick Offerman.
Yeah. I have, oh wait, I'm looking at it. It's on my shelf too. I have the
Where the Deer and the Antelope
Good Clean Fun.
Oh, Good Clean Fun. We have that as well. Yeah. We have, I think it's Good Clean Fun we have that's autographed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I also bought him Offerman Woodshop apparel.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we take it very seriously in this house. We have coasters that he made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's, again, that's a wonderful off-track comment here. But
we got to Nick Offerman.
Even to tie that back, one of my favorite Henry Winkler characters is his Parks and Rec cameos. They're lovely.
What does he play?
Doesn't he play the dad for John Raphael? And
oh, yes, Henry Winkler does.
Doctor,
you're right.
Yeah.
Yes. Money, please.
Money, please.
Forgot about that.
I have never done anything wrong ever in my life.
Did you have a favorite character, by the way, in general?
Okay. Yeah. Hank.
Yeah.
Because
all right, that's easy.
Okay. I would say tied between him and Henry Winkler. If we're going to do this is like Cousin Greg all over again. I truly just enjoyed Hank. I just loved him.
Yeah.
I will say, let's take Bill Hader out of the mix because he's just incredible.
Yeah.
But Henry Winkler, going from just such a sad story, just like his whole character is just so sad. He's got this acting class and everybody worships him because they're nobodies that want to be somebodies. And he's the closest somebody they've ever somebodied.
Yeah.
And then you see him going to his own interview. Like, he's not the big deal he's making himself out to be. And he goes to his own audition, and he's sitting there and he's just like wearing this suit and tie that's like from 1994. And he's just like so pathetic. He doesn't even get one line. They're like, thanks, next. And it's really sad. And it's like, you feel bad for him. But then fast forward to season 4.
Yeah.
And just I'll say, as far as growth of character and the acting, just phenomenal.
Yeah.
How do you go from somebody that you're like, what a pathetic, like, slob, like, what a loser, to then really loving him, really rooting for his romance, to the end being like, oh, fuck, he came to play. Yeah. Like, he is not messing around.
Yeah.
So his development as a character was probably my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. By the way, I just came across this and I didn't realize this, and I think it's funny. All of the episode names are kind of funny. And it's kind of funny because, like, I think the names of the episodes actually devolve, right? Everything season 1 is like chapter 1, chapter 4, chapter 6, right? It just follows chapters. And then you get into season 2, and then they just have actual names for the most part. And then by season 3, everything devolves and like it's all lowercase letters. And then the same thing with season 4. There is an episode, and this is a callback to our podcast. There's an episode called Ben Mendelsohn.
What season is that?
Season 3, episode 3.
Oh my God.
Ben
Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's that Star Wars episode.
I know. But where I was going with that too is like throughout the series, there are so many great cameos and guest stars almost, but they're not really guest stars, right? The ones that stuck out too, which I thought was hilarious, was like, and this is going into like the second to last episode or so, is when Barry is flipping around trying to find a Christian podcast that meets his views. Oh my
God, the pastor podcasts.
Yeah, and then the final one is Bill Burr, where he's just like, yeah, murder's good sometimes. And he's like, bingo, that's it. All right,
that's it. I'm in.
James Austin Johnson from SNL apparently was the voice of one of the other pastors. There's been a bunch of great ones. The ones that stick out to me, especially being a nerd in movies and TV shows, is there's that movie during the second season that he is like sort of getting cast into, you know, want some pie? That one. Hey, Shitbird. But you have Jay Roach, who is an actual director. He's playing himself. And then Allison Jones, who is a very famous casting director, right? All the favorite TV shows you have, especially like Parks and Recreation, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, What We Do in the Shadows, The Office, you'll always see the name casting. It's Allison Jones, right? She's been doing this for decades. But anyway, yeah, she played herself in the episode, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's amazing.
So
yeah, that's
you can kind of see that. You can kind of see that he pulled in a lot of folks he's worked with over the years to play random characters. I mean, Guillermo del Toro pops up randomly as a handler for assassins that go wary, and then one of those assassins is Fred Armisen. So,
which is hilarious. He's like, when he's like, he's here to kill me. He's got a gun in front of him. It's just in the back. And it's like one devolved from his Uncle Fester character. He's just in the back, like eyes wide, like, fuck.
Just shaking uncontrollably. Yeah. But what made this show for you? Because I feel like, for me, I watch it and I see like a lot of the beauty in the show and like the way it's made. And that's aside from the writing, which I think is great too. But like, I think what puts it over the top for me are some of the scenes that, and as weird as this might sound, like it's a great show by itself, but then you add on like the little cherry on top, which is all the extra care and attention and beauty that is the shots. And I'm just like, that makes the show like, diamond level.
I agree. And I will say, for me, the reason that I'll remember this show, I felt like this after we had first finished Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It's another show that I felt like kind of similar, less comedy, of course, but I felt like this was that same feeling at the end where I was like, I just watched something insanely special. Like, not to get all sappy, but I thought the show was so beautiful at the very, like, if we get down to the nitty gritty core, bottom level, it's about like how important art and creativity is to heal people. Like the power of like art, creativity. And it sounds very stupid, but like if you look at just poor little Barry Berkman alone, his whole being, he was trying to heal. It's like he finally felt for the first time in his life somewhere he belonged, didn't have to like become someone else. He could be an actor. He wanted to do it so freaking bad and thought that was going to save him from this awful fucking job he had, an awful life he'd fallen into. But if you were to tell somebody, watch Barry, it's a beautiful story about how art can heal and creativity can heal. Oh, really? How's it go? Yeah. Well, there's an assassin who wants to be an actor. Yeah. It's like you could never sell that without someone having to watch it. But I will agree with you, the way that it was shot, it felt like I was watching 25 to 30 minute feature films, every single episode.
Yeah.
It didn't ever feel rushed. I never felt rushed. I felt like, well, I mean, let's be honest. It just felt HBO level every episode. It never fell off. And I'm kind of sad because I don't think Barry's getting its flowers enough. Like, no, people love it.
I agree. Yeah.
People love it, but that's the people that have watched it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it got buried in that Succession Ted Lasso world. But I definitely don't think it's gotten the praise it deserves. And I think there's going to be a resurgence now that Barry's done and Succession's done. People are going to be like, oh, I'll just binge a show. It's done. I can do beginning to end. And I think it will get the praise it deserves. Yeah. But I definitely don't think people are talking about it enough.
No, it's one of those things too, where I feel like it flew under the radar in general because, it wasn't as flashy as everything else. And I think the other thing too is, I think what we appreciate about it, about being this like oddity of, it doesn't spoon feed the audience. It's not being like, hey, okay, this guy Barry, he's not supposed to be a good guy. He's the anti-hero. You're not supposed to like him. It's also not doing the opposite, because I think it leaves it to your own devices, to the point where I was thinking about asking you this too, which is like, at what point does he pass a point of being unredeemable? Because I'm thinking back to like season 1 and I'm like, all right,
that's a good question.
He's a hitman. He wants to get out of it. He's like, I think this is my calling. I don't want to do this anymore. He's trying to find redemption. And then he still kills Ryan, right? Which is the actor he kills.
Maybe when he kills Janice.
You think at the end of season 1?
When he kills the detective that Kuznow's in love with, that Henry Winkler's in love with, when he's gotten to the point where he's never going to own up for his mistakes, he's always going to cover his own ass no matter the cost to get what he wants.
Yeah, he's always covering his tracks.
He's always covering his tracks, and there's like a level of narcissism there. Like, he can say he's doing it for this, that, or the other thing, but at the end of the day, he just doesn't want to get caught.
Yeah.
So maybe then, I don't know, maybe when he shot up the monastery. I have no idea. When he wasn't great.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the first season is 8 episodes, right? And it starts off with chapter 1, Make Your Mark, which is the episode where we get introduced to Barry and he falls in love with acting. And then, you get to the last episode 8 of the first season, right? Mm-hmm. Which, putting it into perspective, or especially as we talk about runtimes and stuff. All right, so every episode's, let's even call it, it's not even really 30 minutes. They're like 25-minute episodes.
Yeah, because they're flat, like 30 minutes. It's not like it changes. It's flat 30 minutes with, like, you're right, like 25, 26 minutes, couple minutes of credit time, and we're out.
So with that, what you're looking at, so let's call it, 4-hour season 1. It's an arc on itself. After I watched the first season, I watched it as it aired back in 2018. And I actually said then too, I was like, if the show doesn't get picked up for a second season, totally fine. As in, a story has been told and it's like in its little box, and I think it's fine, right? The last episode ends where he kills Moss and then goes back to bed with Sally, who never woke up.
To me, I think that was, for me, where I was like, oh, okay. Right. This is what we're dealing with here.
Because if the show never came back, you're just like, it tells the story of the guy who wanted to get out, but in reality, he couldn't change his ways. People don't change, right? He doesn't change. And then you go on to the rest of but that was the thing too, is especially because the show doesn't give you solid footing, right? Because it could be, we're going to be a little bit sillier here. This is a little bit more absurdist versus this is going to be a serious scene. When he's going after people, or it seems like the walls are closing in on Barry, and then something just silly happens. Or something like where it's like, I did not see that coming, right? Just happened. Yeah. I think I had that feeling when, I think it was the second season when, who is Janice Moss's detective, partner?
Oh, the partner. Remember? What's his name? Yeah. I was literally just looking at this on the cast list. His name was the guy that paid him to kill. It was Detective John something.
Loach.
That's it.
Loach.
John Loach.
There's that scene where it's like, everything's closing in on him. And then all of a sudden he catches Barry, and Barry's like deer in headlights. And he's like, I need you to kill my wife's lover.
Not how I thought that was going to go.
Yeah, no.
In that hotel room. I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening? In the best way, not like.
Which leads us to that episode, Ronnie Lily, which is crazy.
So but it felt like the Ted Lasso Beard's Big Adventure episode, where it's just like, what am I watching? I love it, and both have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, but I love how that, like, every time it seems like, okay, Barry's going to have to own up to his mistakes and what he's done. It just, everything takes a left turn, right? The FBI is after him. All of a sudden, FBI agent was
his buddy from from Afghanistan that he saved.
Yeah, but the thing is, the show isn't without like its heart and heaviness, right? Talking about his buddies from Afghanistan, like he kills Chris, he kills the guy he served with.
Yeah,
and it's this like gut wrenching moment, but I don't know, everything about it. The show is fantastic, but I can gloat about how great the show is. But we should finally talk about the final season, because it was so good. And as we're here, before I let you say anything else, I will say this: Succession, Ted Lasso, Barry were the three big ones that almost ended up within like 2 days apart. This and Succession the same night. Yeah. But I will say, this was my favorite. This was my favorite ending. Now it's funny because a lot more people cared about Succession. I think Succession was in itself like the entirety of the entire story wrapping up and finding a solution or finding an ending that worked. The show ended, right? If they wanted to pick it up and all of a sudden have a 5th season tomorrow, they could.
Absolutely. And it wouldn't feel the way we're talking about Ted Lasso. It wouldn't feel like a money grab. It wouldn't feel anything other than like, this story can continue on at peak performance.
Yeah.
And it's not going to take away from the success from the first 4 seasons.
Yeah. But with Barry, it is over.
Definitely over.
It is,
unless he comes back as a, ghost Barry.
But I got to ask, so what did you think of the final season, just in general?
Well, I knew that we were going to get there. I knew that I'm definitely interested to see what your take is on it being a dad. That's probably a very different experience than I had watching the show.
Yeah.
But it felt like I saw someone describe Barry like this. And it's almost like when you're watching a storm roll in and you can see the dark clouds in the like far away with the rain, and it keeps getting closer and closer and closer until you're like fully in the shit of it. And it's like, that's what Barry felt like. Yeah. Like, I knew come season 4, shit was going down. It's like, while the comedy is still there and there's still those moments, there's no happy ending here for anybody. No. Like, we knew that. And I don't feel unfulfilled at all. I felt like the whole season did what I wanted it to do. It wrapped things up, but also left things, like you said, open for my own imagination, open for me to just keep going. And I didn't love that I wasn't as much of a NoHo Hank fan in the end. I just didn't. I kind of got sad about that, but I guess that was bound to happen too.
But even that's done to such like that story arc, which to go over it, which is he truly loves Cristobal, right? Truly loves Cristobal.
First of all, we have not even touched on that.
Yeah.
What a hilariously fantastic little coupling those two were.
I loved, it started out with like 50-50 with Cristobal. It became like a meme, right? It's almost a joke. And then it's like, oh no, these two guys love each other. And then they fall in love and they run away together. And I will say, because it was the prior season, but when he goes to rescue Cristobal, to rescue him from captivity, everything about that is, it's chaotic and a dream, and like a weird fever dream sequence thing that just plays out in this way. But like, you go from there to what ends up happening to them. And that's where you're heartbroken.
You start season 4, Barry's in prison.
Yeah.
And he's like, the guards fucking love him.
Yeah.
And like Hank and Cristobal, they're somewhere in California, and they're just like, we're in love. Everything's great. Yeah. This is
they went to Nevada. I think they went to Nevada.
Okay. Yeah. And they're just like, we're so great.
Yeah.
This is just, we're so in love. It just starts out so strange, right? Like I knew from the first episode, I was like, Okay, I will be honest with you. I did not predict anything. Did you accurately predict anything that happened?
No,
other than the overarching,
But
we know how this is going to end. But
you never. That's the thing. I don't think you know how it's going to end because the show is always surprising you. It always keeps you off balance. So whether Barry was going to win in the end and move on, live his life and whatever, or someone was going to die, or it could have been anything. But even to that point of like NoHo Hank, which by the way, the scene of him begging Cristobal to stay and forgive him, there's the shot where NoHo Hank is turning back and walking back to the house, and you see him glance up because he knows what's going to happen, right? And that's why it puts it in. I've said it before in this podcast. I love and I have an appreciation. It's my weak point for any writing where they connect to you or give you something, and it's like, oh my God, that changes the entire perspective of everything prior.
Yeah.
And so I watched that scene twice where you go in and you're like everybody else, you're assuming he's begging him to stay because he loves him, and that's it. It's just as simple as that. In reality, it's if Cristobal didn't accept it, they were going to kill him. And that's exactly what happened. And you can see the look he shoots. Hank shoots up to the roof at like one of the guys, one of the shooters. Yeah. And then he goes inside the house but bringing it back to the finale of where Fuchs is like rubbing it in his face and just being like, he wants him to admit what he did. He's forcing him to admit what he did. And that's what ends up getting, like, Hank would have been fine. Hank would have lived on had he just come to terms and admitted that he killed Cristobal.
Interesting. Yeah. And I feel like at that point in the show, they're both pretending to be these people that they truly aren't, we know who Hank is. We know, even Fuchs, we know that he has a heart and he loves Barry. And you see that in the scene where he's covering Barry's son's eyes in the middle of that Quarantino death scene, just, he doesn't want him to end up like them. He wants to say, if he can protect him from that life, he wants to. And same thing with Hank. You see in that last moment, it's like he's not the person he's trying to pretend to be. He is a guy who just, lost the love of his life and just, I don't know. Again, that's perfect writing. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
Like, as you've said, I didn't need to be spoon-fed those facts.
Yeah.
I felt them and they were shot perfectly, and you can do it with their expressions and the little minor things that they do with themselves. But it's weird for me I don't have anything bad to say
I know
about the last season at all. And I know with Ted Lasso we did, I know with Succession we did, but there's something about this show that I had no expectations.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I'm going to fucking love this. Bill Hader's in it. That's what got me to watch the show, besides you being like, oh no, you're watching Barry because we're doing Barry. And I was like, okay, then I'm doing it. And I definitely would have watched it at some point, but I'm glad I did when I did, because I love experiencing finales with everybody else.
Yeah.
I like to have this excitement that you and I are having talking about it.
Yeah.
If we had done this in a year, it would probably just be us and maybe my mom listening to this episode because the excitement wears off. But also, to your point, I loved the names of these episodes.
Yeah.
I was looking at them before we started to do it. And like the first one, what's it called? The first one's just like, yikes. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'll say I like not being spoon-fed stuff. It is so cathartic to have a TV show or a movie or any piece of like media like that just respect you enough to not just be like, oh, we're going to shove this down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was super understated to the point where like you don't even really realize it. But like, yeah, in that final episode where Bill's like, I'm going to go, like, goes berserk, goes and gets all the guns, right? And hops in the little car and then drives there. He never even used them. He just gets there and he was late for the gun battle, right? Just that, like.
But that little detail, hilarious.
Exactly. Because you go back and think, like, wait, he got all those guns. He didn't even fight. He was late. He was like 5 minutes late to the gun battle.
That would be my fiance.
But absolutely. But like, there's little nuances about the Barry character, because you go from like episode 1, season 1 of being like, oh yeah, like he's a simpleton underneath it all, and he just wants to, acting brings him joy. He just wants to do that. to then like season 4 where he's like, after Kusuno trapped him to get caught by the police and Detective Mom.
That scene, first of all, when they part and Kusuno is just standing there like deadpan with that creepy ass hair that he has in that season, but he's just standing there like no expression on his face, but you know exactly what he's thinking. And it's like, finally, I got you, you motherfucker. It's so
He had
good.
him under his thumb all of season 3. And then all of a sudden, I think it was the first episode of season 4 where he calls him and he's like, did you trick me, Mr. Kusuno? Like just completely oblivious.
Calling him Mr. Kusuno. Let's just even talk about that. Even as you're saying it, there are moments in the show, again, they're not spoon feeding it to us.
Yeah.
But we very early on saw what kind of person Barry is and what kind of person he wishes he was. And remember when he's telling that story to Kusuno in the first episode, I think, when he's like, tell the story, or first couple episodes. And he tells that story of the first time he killed somebody.
Yeah.
And when you actually see what happened, he's horrified that he just killed somebody.
Yeah.
But then he gets this rousing applause and his buddies are going nuts for him. Like, oh, you fucking got him. You got him. You're a sniper, you know? And he changes in that instant. He's like, wow, this feels fucking good. I'm good at this.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even try to be good at this. This feels fucking good. I'm the man. Like, I will gladly do this. And then he goes back to being that scared, sad little boy that doesn't want to be that when his buddy / future FBI agent friend gets shot in the face and he's holding him and he's just like, where the fuck, what's going on?
Yeah.
And the PTSD and like all that kind of stuff that they put into that character is so well done. But in that moment, you can see the Barry we're going to get in season 4. Glimpses of that Barry.
Yeah. But that's the thing too, is there was something else I read somewhere, so I can't take credit because I guess I never backed up enough to look at it. I definitely noticed there's that like vapid personality of a lot of the characters, and then just like California, LA in general, right? Like there's a lot of vapidness to the characters.
We haven't even talked about my girl, Natalie Greer.
Oh my God, yes.
Darcy Carden. Yeah. She's like, are you kidding me? If you've not seen The Good Place, you won't understand the love that the world has for her. But she is, talk about vapid Californian perfection.
Yeah. There's a scene when Sally is trying to get her show picked up by a network, and I forget who the network executive was played by. I completely forgot. But they're just like making sounds. Like the show is like, you know, not really meh. It was more like meh. Like just making sounds of describing shows and stuff. The show is just like, you know, there's an entire episode where everyone keeps going to the beignet guy and getting advice from the guy who makes beignets. There's that, right? And what I was referencing before was that every character is selfish. Right. That's like the defining link behind them. Kusuno, that's an easy one. Barry, that's an easy one. Sally, that's an easy one. But even like, you know, Hank, he's rejecting reality of the fact that he killed the love of his life because that's what sort of made sense. He's insane. He's like a crazy person. They're all crazy, just in their different ways. Even I mentioned before, Detective Loesch. He catches this guy who killed his partner and is like blackmails him to kill his wife's ex-wife's whatever's lover.
He's
like,
so pissed
bonkers.
He bought her a quinceanera store and it didn't. He's so pissed he's left with that quinceanera store. He's so mad.
But what's even funnier too, if you ever watch like clips of Bill Hader like writing or coming up with ideas, or like there's the South Park documentary where it's like 6 days to air, and
I've not seen that. I would love to see that.
Oh, it's fantastic. And Bill Hader's there because he's helping write that episode that they were working on. And it's just, you get to see like Bill Hader in a writer's room just coming up with ideas. You can almost see the raw ideas coming out in the work. And I have an appreciation for that because the show isn't taking itself that
I just want to do that so bad. If anyone's listening that could just let me be in a writer's room and pretend that my ideas matter, I just really want to do that. Just to get a little meta on this, we had a meeting where we're trying to come up with podcast things. And I was so excited. I was like, guys, is this what it feels like to be in a writer's room? Because I love it so much.
We can just make our own writer's room at the Gotham West Studios.
We were in a writer's room. It was so fun.
I mean, it kind of was, but we have to do it more. We can just get together. We'll make our own sitcom podcast.
I loved it. I loved it. But back to why we're here. I don't know if you know this because we know we love fun facts. Yeah. Did you know that they originally shot Fuchs as like the giant antagonist, like the bruiser who was screaming at Barry, and then HBO said to Bill Hader, "I think you should start them off as friends." So they had to reshoot all of Fuchs' scenes from the first season.
Really? So like
crazy.
So Stephen Root was supposed to be like a mean
like a dick,
guy,
like an asshole. And they did the same thing with they reshot and rewrote all of Barry's monologue in that scene where he talks about his life as a killer when he's talking to him, and it's so funny because again, this is in the same article. They shot the speech a year after they had already shot Henry Winkler's, the way he reacts to it.
Yeah.
So Bill Hader had to kind of like just fill in so that the reactions would match what they'd already shot because they weren't reshooting that. I love that.
Amazing. I didn't know that at all. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see, even as he plays angry Fuchs, right? Like Fuchs in general, until he just, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe what he becomes in season 4.
He reminds me of Will Ferrell in that movie, Gators Bitches Wear Jimmies. What is that movie? What is that movie where Will Ferrell plays like, it's with
fun to watch.
Mark Wahlberg.
Oh,
his wife,
the good guys?
And he's like,
the other guy.
Bitches Wear Jimmies. It was just so over the top and ridiculous. I'm like, this is not who Fuchs is.
Yeah. I always get the other guys and the good guys confused.
Okay.
Sorry.
But yes, that's what it reminded me of. I was like, this is not who you are. You want to be this person, but you aren't this person.
Nice buns, soft, fluffy, and ultra-low net carbs. Discover Hero Bread, the delicious ultra-low net carb bread with incredible taste and texture. Hero Bread has 0 grams of sugar and is under 100 calories per serving. Plus, high in fiber with 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving. Order from hero.co now and get 10% off your first purchase with promo code AH10. That's 10% off with code AH10. HERO.co.
What did you think about Sally in season 4? I'm curious.
So let's talk about her little speech to her son.
Yeah.
I watched the episode and I was like, okay, she's not happy with who she's become. And she feels like she just fucking failed her son. She hasn't been a mother. She's been someone else, whatever. And she's telling him like, your parents are killers. I'm a murderer, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then I start realizing, no, she's doing all of this for herself, to cleanse herself of any guilt she feels. Like, no, I told him the truth. Yeah. And it's so sad because he like hugs her and still loves his mom after he finds out like an awful human she is. And he still loves his mom. And I'm like, oh my God. And the first time I saw it, I did not feel like that. I felt like, wow, what a beautiful scene of her just like, she's coming to her reckoning, and so it kind of changed my view of her. And then today, when I knew that we were going to record later, I'm like just watching clips. I like to do that sometimes. I just go on TikTok and watch clips. And I was like, oh my God, what a fucking narcissistic, self-righteous bitch. She did all of that just so she could feel better about herself. She's still not a mother to him. And so when I watched the show, I ended the show like, at least he's got a good parent, like she's not perfect, but she's trying. And then I watched that clip and it put me down a rabbit hole. And now I hate her again. Now we're back to hating her. I'm like, this poor kid is so fucked. And, and what if this is a gene it's going to be passed on to this poor child? He's going to be like Dexter 2.0.
Yeah.
And it felt very like Dextery when Dexter tells his son, it's like, whatever. People have watched that show. I'm like, oh my God, this kid's totally going to be a fucking serial killer. Like, he's going to be an assassin. And his life is going to be awful because his mom is who he's left with. She's a skunt. And so that's what I felt. And it's different than when I first watched the episode.
Which is funny because I immediately picked up on, when we get the flash forward Which I will say,
though, because I'm always such like, oh, everything is so pretty.
Episode 5, we flash forward, right? And I wasn't sure if I was like, is this real? Is this a dream? Right? I couldn't make out what was going to happen.
It was a little, it felt a little weird at first.
Yeah. And I will say I was a little wary because I was like, not a lot of shows ever do the flash forwards good.
And pull it off. Yeah. And they're like in middle America.
Yeah. And it did it well, but like you can clearly see that she is miserable. There's that scene where like I don't even know what to think. I still haven't gone back to like analyze the scene with her and the guy from the Piggly Wiggly, where the hell she works.
Yeah. That's a cringe fest, man. Whoa-wee.
But clearly like she is circling the drain. But it's weird. I mean, Sally in herself is a case study. But to skip ahead to the part that's easier to read at least, which is, when we get to the end after Barry's gone and we flash forward again, there's that little dialogue between her and her son in front of the school. And he's like, love you, Mom. And she does not reciprocate love. Yeah, no, she's
awful.
Yeah, she's happy running theater or whatever the hell she did in that.
She would have if she had an audience. If there were 200 other moms standing there like, oh, I love you, honey. You have a great day. And yeah, you're right. I didn't even pick up on that, but you're just adding more to the reasons why I hate her.
But going back to something else you said too. I said it during the Ted Lasso episode also. Every time that little kid in Barry was like, Daddy, Mommy, like, no, I was so like, bad. Oh, I want to cry. I want to hug him. I want to rescue him. He's just, the look on his face, like that kid was a good actor because like he got across, like think about what it takes for like a young actor in general to get across the fact that he is a little scared all the time, right? Like he's sheltered and like his dad is his hero and he's overly sheltered and his dad also like gaslights him. Like, you're not going to play baseball because you'll die. Which just insane things by Barry. And that's Barry in his mind thinks I need to live on to protect my kid, which is way better he doesn't. But the fact that the show ends, and again, this is the vapidness of the world that I think is what they're displaying, is like there was just an inkling of, what happened to Kusno, and they just like, we got you. We figured out the whole spiel. And then we flash forward and little John Berkman is watching the movie about his dad, which he wasn't allowed to watch by his mom, but he's at a friend's house and he's watching it, and he's still enamored. He's like, that was my dad. And apparently, because I needed to know this, there was a deleted scene where I guess his friend asks him about like there was that scene obviously where he was present for all the murders in front of NoHo Hank and everybody, which is depicted in the movie within a movie. And there is a deleted scene of something. We're like, oh, do you remember that? And he's like, no, my mom told me about that or something like that. In the end, all the vapid, selfish people in the world just got their comeuppance for the most part. But at least John was spared. He believes his father's a hero.
Yeah, but he's not spared because he's left with her. Yeah. Like, would he have been better if Barry lived and she died? I don't know. Maybe that would have been his moment to be like, okay, I need to be a dad now. Because he was happy in middle America. He was good there.
Who was? Barry?
He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't losing his shit. He was fine. He was like, this was the end game, to be in the middle of nowhere with my happy little family that I created. I think ideal ending. Barry out. Sally out.
Yeah.
Henry Winkler just takes that baby in and that's his kid.
Yeah.
little John lives with Henry Winkler. That would have been my favorite ending. No, but like seriously though, it is heartbreaking. That to me was so sad. And doesn't every little kid at some point think their parents are their hero? And then you grow up and you're like, oh, my parents are people. Never mind.
Yeah. Given what we know, what we did see about Barry raising John, I think he's better off.
Yeah, he wasn't great. You're right. No. You're right.
It was funny because even in that case, right? Like, I think nobody seemed to act like a natural father. Barry was clearly looking for father figures, right? Mm-hmm. Within literally everyone. But no, I mean, it's John was better off just believing his dad was a hero, living with a mom who doesn't love him, and just
God, that kid's gonna be so fucked.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So fucked. That's gonna be the next show. It's just gonna be called John, and it's just gonna be John, and he's gonna be like a DA or like a FBI agent or something, and it's gonna unearth all of the things.
What did you think about Barry's death? We can tie it all up there.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, I needed nothing from this show. The show didn't need to give me anything. I didn't go into this last season feeling so unfulfilled. You're like, you have to do this. They could have had Barry hit by an ice cream truck, and I'd been like, okay, he's got to go.
Yeah,
he's got to go. He had to go. But I think one of my favorite things about Barry's death, the way Sally ends, Sean, all of this kind of stuff, is I didn't see any of this stuff happening this way.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, is like you always call it. I've never been right. I've never called it. Did you at any point in the season be like, I know exactly what's going to happen?
No, I had no clue. And what's funny too is I think the show purposely like led you on a little bit here and there, and on purpose, right? It kind of leads you in directions.
I'm so gullible too.
What did you believe? Like, what did you?
Oh God, I thought they were going to live happily ever after. I really did. I was like, oh, they're just going to keep flashing forward till this kid's like graduating college or high school or something, and Barry's going to be like, it's time. I'm turning myself in. He's 18 now. Like again, I just I would fall for anything. Yeah. They could have given me anything, and I would have thought it was perfect. I'm such an easy sell.
I mean, to me, the best part, and because, this is what I appreciate about the writing and the irony of it all, is it's not until Barry's like, all right, I'm ready to turn myself in. I want to confess to everything. I want to, do the right thing. And Kusino kills him. And Kusino is the one person who could have vouched for him and sort of.
Stupid gun in the box. From what episode was that when he gets a gun in the box with a note?
The Rip Torn gun.
God.
It was given to him by Rip Torn.
My God.
Which I love those references too.
Me too. Like, that's so good.
Like every little thing about like little Hollywood, like actors or actresses and people, it's all perfect. Like, the fact that you have Jay Roach in there as a director, sort of mocking the kind of stuff that Jay Roach directs of itself. It's great. I love it. But the fact that Kusino's rotting away in prison because he killed Barry when Barry was ready to confess. And ready to be like, I'll take the fall. I'll do what I have to do. Like,
can I play devil's advocate that I said I wasn't going to do?
Yeah.
But it's like, do we really think he would have? When push came to shove, this is not the first time that we're like seeing glimpses of a version of Barry that we think he can be, want him to be.
Again, everyone being selfish, right? He does that because he's still being selfish, right? Because he's still trying to manage everything and get everything he wants. But someone brought up too, there was the scene where his FBI friend, I think it was season 3 or 2, I forget when it was like, don't do this ever again. Stop killing people or I'm going to come back and I'll kill you.
Yeah, he's like,
and I'll never
do it
again.
Stop. And Barry's all like, oh.
Yeah. And he's like, I won't do it again. I'm done. It's over. Right. And then he just goes right back to doing what he did. Right. He falls right back into it. Old habits. I do think he was set up in a way where he's like, he's finally ready because he did care about his son. That was the big thing is he.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Very much cared about little John Bergman. And so, I do think that, that was the intention because that's what makes the most sense too, which is every time he's lied or said, I'm going to change, and then he doesn't change. The moment he actually says he's going to change is when he finally meets his end.
And I don't know. Let's be controversial here. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people say they didn't like this ending and they didn't like this season. The interwebs. Yeah. I was on the Reddits and a lot of hate. And I did not feel that way. I did not see it that way. And I didn't. When people are like, it felt rushed and the movie montage and all that kind of stuff felt stupid. And I'm like, you didn't watch the same show the rest of us watched.
No, but I will say this. My only critique of the entire thing is that given the show, given Bill Hader, given everything else, I feel like they should have made the movie within the movie. Like they should have actually had whatever major actors they could have gotten for it. And apparently there was talk of that where there was a conversation had of like, like what if you could actually get like a major actor to play Barry? And all these things just for that one movie within a movie. And they ended up abandoning it. But that's my only critique is like, I wish they had done that up because I feel like that would have really sold it. Because I mean, if you're paying attention enough and you believe the movie within the movie, it looks like a straight to streaming, like little like knockoff kind of movie. Like it, you know, low budget, not a Netflix or a Hulu. It's like a, like some subpar streaming service.
That he shot Barry with.
Yeah.
The Rip Torn gun.
Yes.
Is that the same one he accidentally shot his son with?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because that's very poetic, right? Like, so he had a son.
Yeah.
And then you've got Barry who looks to him like a father figure.
Yeah. I love the scene when he shoots his son, by the way.
Jesus Christmas tree.
Wait, he goes, fuck you, and just runs away. I love that. God. Who played his son, by the way? I'm trying to find that too. He was great.
A good one.
Andrew Leeds. I feel like I've seen him in other things. I don't know what else he's been in, but he's good. Oh, he was in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I forgot about that. That's where he's from.
I liked that show.
I knew you did. See, that's
I liked it. It's up my alley.
But yeah, no, I mean, that was the only gun that he had.
That's hilarious.
So that had to be, yeah. So
I'm going to fake shoot my real son, but real shoot my fake son. Yes. Nice.
Yeah. But I like how his son turned on him too at the end.
That was bound to happen.
Yeah.
The vegetable grower, what does he have? Like a little strawberry farm or something? I don't know. I got to be honest with you, though. If my dad was like a shit dad and then was like, hey, come have this fucking lake house. Yeah. You owe me, asshole. I'm going to take the lake house.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't feel, if anyone didn't like this, I get this. I actually did see just a controversial.
Oh.
I read an ending article written on IGN.com where someone sloppily compared this to Chris Kyle.
Who's
and
Chris
like
Kyle?
how the Navy SEAL sharpshooter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They were like, oh, they were taking, this is so fucking ridiculous. But I'm reading the article, right? And like the comments, these articles sometimes are so fucking stupid when I'm doing research for the show. But the comments were incredible. And the one that I read was so fucking funny. And it was like, we need the no-host Hank spinoff, but we also need the episode 10 Years in Time when Sally is passed out on the couch with a glass of Chardonnay, 5 Xanax have taken her out, and John is just sitting there tucking her in with a blanket and kissing her head and saying, bye, mommy. I was like, that's so fucking dark.
It is.
It's so dark.
I love that, though, is like, we already know the rest of her life. And
she's a soccer mom gone slush. Like, she's going to be,
She has no interest in being it either, though. Like, she has no interest.
No. We'd know if this was happening real time. Yeah. She's started an OnlyFans. She's trying to bring money in there, but she's telling everyone that all this money that she has, she gets from acting jobs that don't actually exist. Okay. So she's like,
that's very specific.
This, Hyundai Palisade 5-row SUV. I got that. My acting jobs, but really she got it from an OnlyFans, which nothing wrong with it. Power to you. If my body was good enough, I would do it too. Or maybe just some like feet pics. Like our girl's capitalizing, secretly.
I love how in the world of OnlyFans, it's almost like a cheat code where women can just be like, I'm just going to do like a foot fetish one.
God, I wish that I was in my prime for this. I don't think my fiance would care. We're going to have to get his permission before I start saying these things, but
I'm just going to throw this out there too. Given all the AI generation stuff you can do, I don't think you need to do your real body. I think you just AI generate pictures of feet and just upload them to OnlyFans.
Oh, my feet are great. I'll do feet all day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, feet are fine.
Yeah.
It's the midsection and 14 chins we're going to have to work on here, Tom.
No, but just for your own personal sanity, I will say, I feel like the foot thing is to be clear, I don't understand. I don't personally understand foot fetish. Each his own. More power to you.
Go get it.
But I feel like I can start an OnlyFans with my feet.
Let's do it.
Everyone's got
every single friend I have, like hot single friend. My best friend is so hot. She's a teacher, and teachers don't get paid shit. And I'm like, yo, you need to start an OnlyFans. She's like, I can't. I'm a teacher. I'm like, even more the reason to. Teacher all day.
I think if you go down to Florida, like they expect all teachers to have OnlyFans. Of
course they do. Of course they do. They expect them to. Never mind. We're not going to go there. I was going to ask you. Real dark.
We won't go down. All right. Barry,
down there. Great. Also, I just want to say that in... Hold on. I wish I could show you my screen right now. I have to take a picture of it to send you. We all know I love Easter eggs and like fun facts, which this show, I knew you would all have all of them.
I didn't really have much except for like things Bill Hader has said in other interviews.
Because I put in Barry Easter eggs. I'm scrolling down and it is just a picture of chocolate Easter eggs with berries in them. That is what I've found on the internet. That's literally what I found.
Batty Easter egg.
And there is a Gilmore Girls Easter egg in Barry season 3. I just want you to know that.
What is that? Whoa, okay.
Cristobal and Hank's relationship, blah, 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 blah. He says, oh my God, this is so stupid.
Is it a quote from the show?
They're not programmed into each other's phones by their real names for Hank and Cristobal. Their contact names are Luke and Lorelai. Oh my God. This is so good.
Is that like a screenshot or something?
I swear to God, it says in the episode, this is so good. Okay. This is season 3, the episode Limonada. Cristobal and Hank's relationship continues to blossom until Fernando shows up. Fernando, Cristobal's father-in-law. Cristobal sees Fernando as a potential threat, blah, blah, blah. But in the episode, fans find out that Cristobal and Hank are not programmed into each other's phones by their real names. Instead, their contact names are Luke and Lorelai. Their names are a reference to the endgame couple of Gilmore Girls, Luke Danes and Lorelai Gilmore.
You are such my Luke. Yeah.
That is so good. I should have started that episode and just tapped out with that. That was so good.
I love it. Okay. All right. Good show.
We're going to end there.
All right. Are we done with series finales yet?
For us, yeah. I mean, there's a couple other ones that happened that, I'll be honest with you, some of those shows just kind of died at the end there.
Yeah, I will say, I don't know if I'll mention it by name yet, but there was one show that I was like, oh, did it end? No one talked about it. Haven't heard a peep from anybody.
I know what show you're talking about, and I couldn't even get through the last season. I was like, I'm bored. When Tom tells me that we have to do this, I'll finish it.
No, we can abandon ship, and we don't have to do the show. Okay. No one wants to talk about it anyway. The show is called Can We Talk About? Not We Have to Talk About.
That's completely fair. What a beautiful callback, sir.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Wait, I didn't ask you. So in my opinion, in order of season finales, I'm going to say Barry was the best, followed by Succession, followed by Ted Lasso. In the 3 that we've done, what's your order?
Okay. If I enjoyed watching the Succession one, made me very uncomfortable. Well written, well done.
Yeah.
I ended that being like, I want to shower. That just felt so dirty. Like that was just
a tragedy.
A great sign of a season finale.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso, we all know. We talked about it. You heard me say it. I love the show. I love sadness.
Yeah.
But Barry, I think, sorry haters, I think it was the most well done. Hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know that. For what it's worth, I'm not necessarily rating it based on the entire show. As far as series finales go, I would say I think Barry tied everything up and closed out the story in a way that I think
we already know Ted Lasso is your number 3. You hated on that shit all episode.
We have an update. I think this is we might as well mention it here.
This is so lovely. Yeah.
You know that Apple TV has now teased that like they started tweeting out pictures of they're trying to continue the Ted Lasso without Ted Lasso.
So they had a picture, the scene where it's Coach Beard and Nate and Roy Kent standing there in their little coachy coach clothes. And the caption is something like a spinoff with these 3 or something like that is what we need or blah, blah, blah. And then the gentleman that plays Nate just does the zippered mouth emoji. It's on the tweeter. It has been tweeted.
Yeah. I don't think we needed it. I think we were fine. I don't know why we're doing this, but
we were hanging out. Was that last week? Last week. We hung out in real life person in New York City in the beginning of Smog Fest. And you texted that to me while I was on the train, and my fiance had just shown it to me on the train. And I was like, I can't wait to bring this up. And then I almost forgot. So thank God you did.
Yeah. You don't need this. It's okay. And the tweet was smells like potential.
Oh, and that's so much better than what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah. Where it goes to is everything's ambiguous. It's all ambiguous. And we don't.
Okay. So let's say out of the 3 that we just did, which one do you think is bound to have a spinoff? Because one of them has to. I don't think it's going to be Barry.
Oh, no. Barry's done and dead and over.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna back up a second. Do you remember what my prediction for Ted Lasso was?
All right. Before the last episode? No, I mean, before the one we recorded?
No. Like for the one we recorded, like what my because we talked about like, oh, it's basically a series finale, although they're not calling it that. But here's my theory on what they're going to do.
Well, didn't you say that it was going to be a spinoff on Ted Lasso? No, Ted Lasso.
Well, my theory was and still is, because this still fits into that box, is they're going to do like a Christmas special or like a one-off.
Oh, yes.
Special. They didn't say spinoff. They just said smells like potential, and it's a shot of the 3 of them. And I think that still fits with the theory of like it could just be like a little mini movie.
Animatronic Chewbacca's in it, is it? Because that was something I can't unsee.
I will say, you do know that there was a Ted Lasso Christmas special in Claymation, right?
No.
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay. I haven't seen it either.
No. I thought it was just that one episode where they just did the opening scene with all of them in Claymation.
So it's called the Missing Christmas Mustache. It's like a little mini. It's not a full episode. It's not a full special. It's just like a 5-minute little cartoon. Well, Claymation animation, but okay. So it exists out there. You can watch that. All right.
Well, I'm going to watch it. So I don't even know what our next episode is going to be then.
I don't know. We're going to have to.
Because we just abandoned ship on something.
For what it's worth, I mean, I'll just say it now. I don't care anymore. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But you know what? Look, my son is an actor, and he was in a scene in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and they cut him out. So
I was excited about it pre that, and then the episode aired, and I was like, ew, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. So okay. We have other stuff lined up. We'll shoehorn some stuff in there. We have plenty of stuff for the summer. Yeah,
that wraps it up. That wraps up season finales. Series
finales. Yeah. Although apparently Ted Lasso may or may not be. We don't know. But yeah. But it was an exciting last week of May. You know, just to everyone to qualify for Emmys. Which, by the way, does that mean that Ted Lasso doesn't, or he did? Because he ended on. It wasn't June yet.
Yes. Yeah, it was not June.
If that's what they were aiming for, I will say, I mean, I think Succession's going to just
clean up, eat the lunch. Yeah. I will say, though, I hope Barry gets a nod somewhere.
I hope so, too. I'll take anything. Even if it's directing.
I don't care. Just take anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
I feel like Succession's going to clean up in a lot of the categories like Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Drama, right? I think there's potential for Barry to pick up something like, best, I don't know. We have to look at all the categories, but probably more like the mechanical kind of like best director kind of, I don't know if they even do that for director for TV series, do they? I don't know. I'll look at it. Anyway.
And do we think Ted Lasso has a chance?
I mean.
But they have cleaned up before. Like they really have.
Right.
Hannah Waddingham won like best supporting actress. Like they've cleaned up.
But literally, like the last award show, it won Outstanding Comedy Series. It won Best Comedy Series.
You know what we should talk about at some point? Can we talk about this, Tom? White House Plumbers, which really got fucked because of COVID, and then pushed because of, like, kind of just buried because of Barry and Succession and Ted Lasso. But supposed to be incredible and was shot all around our town. So
I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any more. By the way, to bring it back for the 2022 Emmys.
Okay.
The nominees were Abbott Elementary. This is for Best Comedy Series.
Great show.
Abbott Elementary, Barry, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and What We Do in the Shadows. All great shows. And then Ted Lasso won for that, which again, for 2022, I agree with.
Pretty good.
Should have. Now, going back the year prior, it also won Best Comedy Series. That was against Blackish, Cobra Kai, Emily in Paris, Hacks, Pen 15, The Flight Attendant, and The Kaminsky Method, which The Flight Attendant was a comedy?
The Emily in Paris is not a comedy. It's like it's like mine and your wife's favorite show to eat pasta to.
And also Schitt's Creek won before that.
Yeah, it fucking did. We're going to talk about that when Tom watches it. In Tom's defense, I think next maybe we should do... Tom, what have you been telling me to watch?
What have I been telling you?
What's your favorite comedy that you've been telling me to watch?
Oh, man. I think you should leave.
Okay. How long would it take me to get through it? Can I do it in a week?
Like, you could do it like between now and by the time I finish talking. Yeah, no, it's easy.
All right.
And the higher you are, the better.
Perfect.
Not that you need it.
I'm not going to get Stoner episode level high, but yeah, no, I'm in.
No, that show is great. And I'm surprised you haven't seen it all from TikTok.
I'll save that for our... we should do that one the night that I stay over at your house. I know that sounds very strange, people. I will be hanging out with his son. His wife is about to be my family, so...
Don't judge me here.
Okay. Well, it's very strange. I'm like, at our next sleepover, Dad.
I love adult sleepovers. They're so much
fun.
But yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right, I'm in.
All right.